And welcome back to the channel where we talk about only good comics. I'm Brant, and this is Friday First. This is that series where we talk about those brand new number one issues, new character debuts, new story arcs, and the like. And this is for the books coming out on the last week of January 2025, ending the first month of new comics on January 29th, 2025. So, yeah, obviously, I was not here last week. I left a message on the community tab. I apologize for that. We had a convention last weekend, and by the time I got home Friday, we set up on Thursday. So I would usually record this video on Thursday, and I was just too beat to do it Thursday. So I tried to record it like really early Friday morning before the show, and just didn't happen. And by the time I got home Friday night, I was too exhausted. I kind of crashed early. Saturday, I actually did record the show, and I had planned on editing and posting it Saturday night, but it chose the wrong audio source, so it was choosing my headphone mic, and when I listened back to it, I could barely hear anything, so it was just messed up, and I didn't have the energy to redo it and everything. So I was just like, okay, if I can't get this together by Monday, I should just wait. And Monday was kind of chaotic as well. A lot of things going on, so I did not get a chance to actually post the video. So I apologize for that. Um, but it happens, and it's going to happen from time to time. But I try to be as consistent as possible. But I am here this week. Got some books to talk about. I got 4 recaps this week. Then we've got our usual about an average list of first for next week, and then the format by now. But so yeah, let's get into those recaps of the books from last week, which I didn't get to talk about at all. But these are some of the books that I would have talked about had I done the show last week. So first up, we have Doctor Doom and Rocket Raccoon issue 1. This was a one shot taking place just kind of probably before all this One World Under Doom stuff began, probably before he was Sorcerer Supreme and Blood Hunt and all that stuff. And it references something that happened in the 2020 Guardians of the Galaxy series where they switched bodies. And so he knew how intelligent Rocket was. He needed his help with this thing. And ultimately, he needed his help to travel back in time before the Big Bang or creation point or whatever to find out why. That was his question. So that's what they do. They work together. There's some comedic moments like him patting Raccoon on the head and him like, "Don't ever do that again," and him saying like, "Well, Thor said you liked it." He's, is this whole thing. There's some comedic moments between the two of them that was quite nice. And this was a different side of Doom that we've ever seen. And these two share a bond that is unlike any other because Doom is forced to respect him because he knows his intelligence, even though under normal circumstances these two would not get along. So it's just kind of weird, but it was fun. But their whole journey back in time and Doom finding out why, it kind of leads him to believe even more so that he's a god, I think, or the center of the universe quite literally now. So it was a little much, but it was still a fun book. I enjoyed the journey of it at the very least. Next up, we have X-Men Xavier's Secret. This is reprinting the Infinity comic. And there are actually 2 stories in here. There's Scott and Jean's kind of last night before Jean goes off into her series into space and all that stuff and tries to figure out the Phoenix and all that stuff. So Cyclops is afraid of losing her because he's seen the future and he knows that she's going to outlive him and all this stuff. So he's really insecure. And then it leads to this other story where this psychic residue is sending people to their death, and Scott gets caught up into it and all that stuff. But the main reason that I wanted to read this was the second story, which was all about this secret that Professor Xavier kept. And it shows us basically what happened, and why he's in prison and why no one remembers anything about it and why no one knows that he's actually probably innocent, or at least more innocent than they think he is, and how he's kind of messing with a bunch of people's lives to ensure that this stays secret. I thought it was pretty intense. You could see where it was going a little bit, and I don't know. it did tie into stuff that is going on in X-Men and the whole Grey Malkin raid stuff and everything, like I thought it would. So I did appreciate that. I was hoping for a little more, and maybe not just the revelation of it, but maybe something to come out of it. But I guess we'll get that going forward with this Hunt for Professor X stuff. I think this is going to tie into that. So is it a must read? No, but does it fill in some blanks? That second story, yeah, I would say it does kind of do that. The first story was just kind of a side story that wasn't really necessary. The Gene and Scott one. But if you're a big fan of those two and you're a fan of the Phoenix series, maybe you'd want that context. But if you're following Uncanny X-Men and X-Men and you're excited about the hunt for Xavier, this second story might give you a little revelation, but probably nothing that we're not going to find out eventually elsewhere. Next up, we have Uncanny X-Men, sticking with the X-Men characters on the other side of things. This is going back to focus on the outliers, the new kids that are kind of being mentored in this book by Wolverine, Rogue, Gambit, and Nightcrawler, and we see the furthering, and Jubilee, we see the furthering of that mentorship in this issue as Rogue decides to pair up each one of them with one of the new kids. And on the other side of it, you have Trask building these super sentinel dogs. He's finding stray dogs on the street and adding sentinel tech to them, and they're kind of out of control. They're wild, and they go on the attack once these kids have left, their protection bubble, and they've been sensed outside of the New Orleans camp. They go shopping basically, just to get out and act like teenagers for a day. And they get tracked down, and things go really bad really quickly with this. It's very violent, and it's unexpected what happens in this, but I like that because we start off with like, okay, this is just going to be one of those fun little side things where Jubilee's taking the kids shopping, we're going to do this whole thing. But then in classic X-Men fashion, when you get just a tiny glimpse of hope, tragedy strikes, and they go all out with this one. And like I said, very intense, and I'm very curious to see how they recover from this, the way this issue ended. So another solid issue of Uncanny X-Men for me. And finally, we have World Tree issue number 12. This is telling the origin story of Sammy, who is the girl throughout the first couple of arcs that's going around killing people and all that stuff. So this is how she became Fear. And it's a very interesting story because she's totally not this character. She's totally just this innocent girl that is got some issues. She's dealing with, it seems like, anorexia, possibly, and she's trying to befriend like the cool girls, but they're just using her and that kind of thing. She's trying to get in with her brother's friend group, but they don't want anything to do with her. So she's just kind of lost and trying to find her way and trying to go about it in probably not the best ways, and stumbles into this whole thing. And that's kind of where we lead to with this. I thought it was really just kind of emotionally resonant throughout the entire read. And there was like a few pages where there was very little or no dialogue, and you could just see her expression, see her where she's looking off to, and kind of following her, and kind of you really saw this world through her and saw the struggles that she was going through. And I thought it was a really poetic issue that kind of leads us to the ultimate conclusion of where she ends up, but we don't get that in this. We just get like the hints of it. But really powerful issue, I thought, and a strong way to bring it back without, it still kind of eases you into this world if you're just jumping on at this point. So I thought it was a really good issue. But that's it. That's all of the recaps that I have. So let's get into those first issues and, new story arcs, etc., that are coming out next week. All right, we'll start with our first honorable mention. This is the Book of Cutter. This is tying into the Something is Killing the Children, House of Slaughter, all of that. And the reason this is an honorable mention is because I'm still behind. I did get volumes 2 and 3 for Christmas of Something is Killing the Children. I just have not had a chance to read them yet, so I'm way behind on this. But if you are caught up and you're following all the side stuff, this is definitely one you want to pick up. This is a fantastic world that James Tynion has crafted, and I can't wait to dive in more myself. And the other honorable mention this week is Storm Lifedream. This is celebrating Black History Month in February, obviously, and this has it says for the first time ever, an all-black creative team joins forces in this anthology to honor the mini versions of Storm. So I think that's pretty cool. Should get that more often than just 1 month a year, but I still think it's pretty cool, and especially if you're a Storm fan and you like all the different versions of Storm. This is part of the Marvel Voices line of anthologies that they do, so this might be one to check out. Next up, we have DC Power Rise of the Power Company issue 1, also celebrating Black History Month, but tying into all the stuff that has gone on in the wake of Absolute Power. There's like this movement saying Waller was right and all this stuff. So this guy, this attorney that is also a metahuman, Josiah Power, has determined to create this company to kind of renew the faith in heroes, and especially in the Black and brown communities. So I think that's pretty interesting, and it coming from a different perspective to all of this stuff that has gone down in the DC universe as of late. So yeah, I'm curious about this one. It's Brandon Thomas and John Jennings, and it's got several writers. It got like 4 writers and 4 artists. So I don't know if they're telling multiple stories in this. It says it's a new format, continuing storylines from Absolute Power and All In, and setting the stage for the return of the Power Company. So I'm not exactly sure what to expect from this, but I'm curious enough to pick this one up, and I'm going to give it a potentially good. Just because I think it's a cool concept, and like I said, it's coming at it from a different side, different angle. So I want to see how this comes to be and what kind of impact this is going to have on the larger DC universe. Next, from Image Comics, is Blood Train issue number 1. It says 28 days later meets the ruins in this high-stakes standalone horror story. So it's a standalone book. It is a magazine format. Keep that in mind. 48 pages, $7.99. I like the ruins. 20 days later, I could take or leave, but this is written by Adam Glass with art by Bernard Chang. So top-notch creative team there, and it's interesting. Like there's these friends that are backpacking through Asia. They get on this Siberian Express, and as they're heading home, things kind of go crazy. This bioweapon has infected everything, and they get caught into this World War III level kind of stuff going on in Europe, and they're trying to make this difficult choice of whether to kill someone they love or to save the world, or die. It's from the Ninth Circle, it says. So I guess that's a branding or an imprint stuff that happens within that. I'm not exactly sure. But it says bringing you the best horror each month from the industry's top creative talent. So if you're familiar with other Ninth Circle work, if you like, Adam Glass's writing, Bernard Chang's art, you might want to check this one out. It's an interesting concept. I don't know whether I'm going to get this one or not. I will give it a potentially good, because it does sound like an interesting concept. So, and like I said, again, top-notch creative team. I just don't know if it's quite my taste. I'm not a huge horror person, but yeah, very interesting at the very least. Keeping on theme here, going from Blood Train to Kill Train issue 1. This one's from Mad Cave Studios. This is written by Olivia Quatero Briggs. I apologize for that. I butchered that. But this one is interesting. It reminds me of what is that show? Snow something. And it was a movie too. I cannot think of the name of it, but I watched a bit of it. But anyway, this book is about controlling the population through basically randomly picking these trains, the passengers on this train, and killing them. It's kind of like in the 100, where they sent all the kids out because they got to control the population, and they wouldn't allow you to have so many kids and that kind of thing. And obviously we see that in certain countries as well. So it's a population control kind of thing taken to the extremes where they literally exterminate people on this kill train. So another interesting concept. Batcave does some really um, interesting stuff, and a lot of their books are really solid. For this one, I'm going to give it a possibly good, though. I'm not familiar with the creative team, and even though I know obviously I know the plot here, I don't know if it'll be my thing or not. So, but I'm always interested in checking out new Batcave titles. Shifting gears, we have What If Galactus Transformed Spider-Gwen. So we've seen a bunch of these one shots so far. I have not read the Rogue one yet, so I don't know if that one was good. I enjoyed, the couple of others that I have read though. I think they're pretty decent. So in this one, even though Gwen has been doing her duties serving Galactus, she comes across a world that's just like her own, and it looks like she might make the choice to save them instead of, feeding them to Galactus, which is, on brand for Spider-Gwen. This is written by Kalinda Vasquez, not familiar, and art by Daniel Picciotto. So if you are familiar with either one of them, you might be a fan of this. For me, I'm going to give this one a potentially good because they've all been decent reads, the ones that I've read so far, so I don't see any reason why this would not be. Shifting to a galaxy far, far away, we've got Star Wars: A New Legacy, issue 1. It says a decade of Marvel Star Wars comics, so we're celebrating 10 years of them doing Star Wars once again. And we're kicking this off with a bunch of characters. We got Darth Vader, we got Grand Moff Tarkin, we've got Darth Momin, Dr. Aphra, Valance, so many characters here. And they're all colliding in this Imperial event thrown by Palpatine. And so there's a lot of stuff going on in this book. This is written by Charles Soule, who has a lot of experience with these Star Wars books. This is a 48-page, $6.99 book. Keep that in mind. But we are embarking on a new era for the Star Wars books here. If you've been following them, I fell off quite a while ago, so I'm not up to date on it. Occasionally, I'll try a new series. I might pick this one up. But if you have been following it, you definitely want to check this one out. I'm giving this one a potentially good as well. From Image Comics, we have The Seasons, issue number 1. This is written by Rick Remender with art by Paul Azaceta. So I like both of them, and they are both very talented, and they are both very strong creators. So we have these sisters that are all named after the Seasons, and they're the daughters of these Seasons detectives. So 10 years ago, their parents, who were very famous, disappeared, and now they were left to raise themselves, and now there's only one of them left. I think it's the youngest sister. She's the last hope to save them from this fate worse than death. So she's got to bring her shattered family back together somehow, and we'll see how that plays out. But Rick Remender is a strong writer, writing some of my favorite comics right now, which I'm totally blanking on the names. The Pigeon book. What is the Pigeon book? And of course, the skateboarding book. Why can't I think of either one of these books? Jeez. It'll hit me after I down the line, later in the show or after I go off recording, and I'll be like, oh, I'm so stupid. I didn't think of those. Sacrificers. Jeez, why couldn't I think of that? And I still can't think of the skateboarding one, but Sacrificers, stuff like that. Really strong books, and I'm looking forward to this one as well. This sounds pretty cool. It says it's perfect for fans of boundary-breaking horror in all forms. So, even though horror is not my genre, this sounds interesting enough, and given the creative team, I'm giving this one a promisingly good, and I'm looking forward to this one. Grommets, that's the skateboarding book. Yeah, I knew it would come to me. Anyway, Superman Lex Luthor Special issue 1 is up next. This is written by Joshua Williamson, who is writing Superman and tying into all of that. So, I'm going to like it. But this is the return of Lex Luthor. Obviously his memories have been wiped. He's not been quite himself. He's been finding out about himself and not liking what he's been finding out. But there's this key piece of information that's been missing. And now we're exploring this mystery that plagues Superman and the Justice League. But what if Lex doesn't want to remember? So that's what we're exploring in this book. It's 32 pages, 3.99, and ties in obviously to everything going on with Lex in the Superman book. So for me, this one is a promisingly good. It's been a really fun, solid series, and this journey with Lex Luthor has been a nice little side plot in the book, up to date. From Dynamite, we have the latest franchise to birth out of this current crop of titles, which is Silverhawks issue 1, which was another, I believe, 80s cartoon. This was one that I didn't really get into. I didn't really follow. I did see like the commercials and all that stuff, so I don't have much history with this one. I'll read just a little bit here. It says, in the nearby galaxy of Limbo, the deadly mob boss Monstar has escaped from his confinement on Penal Planet 10, and he's looking to take revenge on everyone who put him there. So, and obviously, Commander Stargazer of the Silverhawks is at the top of the list. We do have Ed Brisson writing this and George Cambatis on art. So these are, again, top-notch creative talent here that have done a lot of, notable work in the industry. So Dynamite continues to do justice by these franchises, I think. So I'm definitely going to check this one out, even though I have no like history with this property. They've done such a good job with the ones that they do have, Thundercats, Space Ghost, etc., that I'm curious to check this one out, and I'm going to give this one a potentially good. And finally, we have Green Lantern number 19. The new era of Green Lantern Corps begins here. This is written by Jeremy Adams, one of my favorite writers right now. So we are going in with Hal and the Corps, and it looks like there's a new mandate to patrol the galaxy and basically take things back to the basics, but with this new twist of these fractal lanterns running around and trying to police those as well. So this is the new status quo for the Green Lantern Corps, and it all starts here. So I'm so excited about this. Been waiting for this to kick off. This is legacy number 586, as it says there. But I'm giving this one a positively good because Green Lantern is just top-notch, top-tier book right now. And that was all the first. So here are the other books that I'm looking forward to, the non-first books coming out next week. Deadpool issue number 10. Deadpool is back. He is alive once again. So we'll have to see what his resurrection cost was, because it says it costs something, and we don't know what that is, but it says Ellie can't cope. So we're going to see what happens with that. X-Men number 10, also on its 10th issue. We are getting the repercussions from the Grey Malkin Lane raid. We've got ONE converging and Cyclops. This cover shows him just like blasting everything. Let's see, I'll screen share real quick. There is that cover. Let me take that off for a second. So you can see he's just going wide with that optic blast and kind of taking off these forces. So that looks pretty intense to me. So yeah, that's going to be a fun one. And then we have Murder Kingdom issue number 3 from Mad Cave. Been enjoying this series of this person is working at this amusement park and then notices like basically a murder has happened, and there's weird like cult-like behavior at this park. It's just crazy. Everybody's got to be, they're forced to be in character all the time. It's just a weird murder mystery kind of thing. Hornsby and Halo issue number 3 from Ghost Machine. The first couple issues were pretty fun with these two kids that were raised in opposite, like one's an angel, one's a demon. They're raised in opposite families to maintain this balance, but now all this is coming out into a head. We got Redcoat issue number 9, where he shares a few drinks with Johnny Appleseed and spills a bunch of secrets, so that should be fun. We've got Nightclub number 2, volume 2, issue number 5. And this has been crazy because at the end of it last time, Danny started the nightclub because he wanted to do something good with his powers, and everything just kind of went crazy from there. And then, Danny and Sam, some bad stuff happened with them. They're gone. All that's left is Amy, but now she wants to try to bring them back. And things are just going to keep going bad because now you have this whole gang of evil vampires that took them out and is like making her life terrible, like torturing her left and right, just psychologically and physically and all this stuff. And now things are probably just going to get worse. And this has been quite a ride. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 6. We've got Juan Ferreira making his debut as ongoing artist for this book. Jason Aaron writing, of course. This has been a really, really good series so far. First 4 issues were focusing on each individual turtle. Issue 5 brought them together, and now we see what happens from here, basically. So that's going to be fun. And then finally, we have West Coast Avengers issue number 3. At the end of last issue, or towards the end, we find out there are 2 Ultrons. We don't know what's going on, but we have this cult of Ultron. We have the good Ultron, and now we're going to see how that all plays out in this issue, I guess. So those are the books that I'm looking forward to the most. And yeah, some good, strong books coming out next week. I'm excited to wrap up the first month of 2025 with these books. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, I apologize for missing last week, but I'm back, and I hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help the show. Hit that subscribe notification bell so you don't miss any of the other content going up on this channel, any episode of Friday First as well. You can, just hit my desk there. Of course, you can follow me across social media at Only Good Comics, or type in onlygoodcomics.com to take you right back to this YouTube channel where we talk about only good comics. Until next time, thanks for watching. Take care, keep reading those comics, and I'll see you soon. Bye.